Hi everyone, Leonard here from Drawplet, and today we'll be doing loose watercolor flowers. Loose floral is not something that I paint very often, and since I'm more accustomed to detailed and realistic style painting, it's sometimes hard for me to paint loose and free. So I hope that this will serve as a good practice for you to loosen up, just as it did to me, and also to improve your strokes and washes. Starting off with a rose, it's mostly circular motion, and I like to paint it really wet, so it gives me more time to shade the rose and to do some wet on wet later. Try to keep some white space as you work your way outwards, and make sure that the space is as fine as possible, otherwise the rose wouldn't look as natural. Once it's done, you can give the rose some happy friends so it doesn't feel sad and lonely. Try to paint the leaves around the rose, and don't worry if the colors bleed a little, because that's just how it's supposed to be, like loose and free. I've also added some cute yellow flowers to brighten up the composition. Connect the flowers to the rose so it feels like a happy family. The main idea is to paint a few clusters of leaves and flowers and eventually join them together to form a big floral masterpiece. Moving on to my second cluster, I've painted another rose, and here I'm using wet on wet with some red in the middle to have that blooming effect. Here's a new addition to the family, and it's basically a peony shaped flower, and I try to introduce a darker color to give the piece more contrast. This is just to elevate the dynamics and to give it that wow factor. We'll continue to populate the second cluster with more leaves and yellow flowers to fill up the blank space. If this is your first time doing this, you might feel a little lost because there's no underlying sketch or there's no guide for you to paint along with. So there's nothing wrong with using a reference picture as a guide, or just tap into your imagination to decide where to place every element. My personal tip would be to place subjects of contrasting colors side by side and take pauses to look at the macro view of your artwork to make sure that the overall composition is well balanced and that you have different variety of colors and flowers distributed evenly on each side of the paper. Since most of the process will be repetitive, I will leave you to enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll see you at the end. So that's all for today. I hope that you managed to learn something from this tutorial, and remember to be kind to yourself and don't stress too much about the outcome. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.